Work it, make it, do it, shake it.
Get to decide.
AI as the ultimate tool to solve all the world's most complex scientific problems.
We're taking flight. Every one of us is packed with potential. The potential to make anything we can dream of.
I do not know personally how to code, but given the option to create something just opens up so many doors for me as an educator.
I discovered Gemini could help me with a lot of things, from menus to marketing and inventory.
But in a world where anything is possible,
we're really pushing at this big mission, the mission of solve all disease. This is huge, but we have a profoundly new technology in our hands.
what matters is what we choose to build.
Hi, my name is Mateo. My brother Tomaso made me this AI assistant.
So, let's not just make. Let's make something that matters.
Hello everyone, let's get the team back here online. Hello everyone on the other side of the stream, and welcome to this Google I/O recap from GG Portugal. With me, I've got here Tiago, Eimy, Sérgio, Mário, and Fellyph, and throughout the next hour, we're going to talk a bit on what's new in the different technologies. Before we start, I just want to show you what we've been doing at GG Portugal. So we've got a couple of chapters active throughout the country in Braga, Porto, Coimbra, Castelo Branco, Lisbon, Évora, Beja, Lagos, Faro, and on islands, so in Azores and Madeira. And we already have a couple of events planned for the upcoming months. So we're going to have on the 27th of August in Lisbon a meetup, and we're going to have our DevFest, so our big conference in Lagos on the 6th and 7th of November. We're going to have another conferences throughout Portugal, hosted by the different GDG chapters. So please stay tuned for what's coming on upcoming months. Don't forget, of course, to follow our social networks. Hello, everyone. How's everyone today?
Hey.
Hello.
Good.
Everything's okay here.
Everything's good. Yes.
Okay, so thank you so much for joining me. Anyone wants to say something to our participants on the other side of the screen that decided to join us on Thursday afternoon instead of going to the beach to open this stream and hear what's new in technology?
I want to say that they decided correctly, and beach sucks, especially today. Tomorrow you can have a different opinion if you want.
Okay, but yeah, it's still the best approach is to be with us and not having a beer or a gin or what fancy drinks people are having nowadays. Good idea. So here today we've got people from different chapters, from Coimbra and myself. Tiago, do you want to say something about Porto since you're next to me on this side?
Yes, so I'm here from GDG Porto. We do love beach, Matosinhos Beach, but right at 7 p.m. you can see the sunset there after we finish. 7:30 actually. After we finish, you can go see the sunset there. But yeah, so we're very glad for everyone watching, and very glad to see those nice, friendly faces in the screen with me.
So, Eimy, do you want to go next? Since you're going to have an event on August, do you want to speak a bit about the event so we can get more people to go to Lisbon?
Yeah, well, I am in the head of GDG Lisbon. We are planning to do an event the 27th of August with critical software. It's going to be about Android, so it's going to be really interesting. I invite you. It's in Entre Campos. It's going to be 6:30 the 27th of August. So you are more than welcome to join us and learn a little more about this technology.
Sérgio, do you want to go next? I know that you're planning also the fest in Faro, and you're just closing the dates.
Hey. Yes, my name is Sérgio. I'm from GG Faro. I'm mainly a community builder, have lots of projects beside this one. We're preparing to do the necessary preparations for the Fest Faro. We want to do the Fest 2026 by the end of November. We still have to fix the dates. What else? We just finished also a hackathon, a Kaggle hackathon that we finished last Saturday. It went well. 6 projects emerged from there, and we basically just handled Gemma for 2 people to actually toy with it and come up with solutions. Some solutions involved evaluations of a company idea. Others were sign language. Were similar to one of your talks, Carlos, and it was pretty nice to actually see others approaching those problems and trying to actually translate ASL. In this case, is American Sign Language into text. It was pretty cool. That's it.
Nice. And Mario, that he's the one that has the best background here.
Thank you, Sergio and Mario, Lili Braga. Thank you to everyone that is joining us in this live. And I want to say we are planning for the fest. We have not yet decided the date, but keep in touch, keep on our social network, so we will notify you about our next event and the fest event. Thank you.
And finally, but not least, Fellyph, you want to talk a bit about yourself and what's next?
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Fellyph. I'm a GD based in Portugal, and I was a former organizer from GDG Lagos, but I still supporting the group there. And as we share the image, we will have at the beginning of November the GDG Lagos. I don't know if Luis is following the live, but yeah, Luis is the organizer now, together with Mara Lisa, and yeah, the community in Algarve is super vibrant, and I would say we have the best dinners. Like if you came to speak in Lagos, we have one of the best like after party dinners. So it's really nice there, and yeah, no, I'm super excited, and I was super happy to. I was curious about the hackathon in Faro, and good to hear that like a few good projects. I think the Gemma is one of the things that I got excited, and the Google Connect. We're gonna talk later, but yeah, and then I will talk about web. That is my field, so I work with web the last. I don't like to say that, but it's like almost 20 years now. But it is, yeah, it is exciting to see this new phase. And I have a few conversations, a few videos I will share. And yeah, I'm excited about today.
Okay, great. And it's really good to hear all of these things, all of these projects. Sérgio, I really want to talk about that SLI project. So let's start with today's presentation. Fellyph, you're going to be the first, so the stage is all yours. We're moving to backstage to watch your talk.
Yeah. I will just share my screen here. Okay, I don't know if I need to include Carlos. Yes, thank you. So, yeah, talking about the web and seeing the, I was talking about almost 20 years, and I have seen several transitions on the web. We had like one special moment, especially for me, when we was transitioned from desktop to mobile, and a lot of things was happening. We have HTML5, and the web changed a lot at that time. And then we came with PWAs that we enable more functionalities from the web to access device. And now we're gonna start this new era, or we are already starting this new era. That's the agentic web. For years and years, we build websites for humans, and now we are starting getting this new type of user that go through our website, navigate through our website, and click on things, do tasks for us. And that's super important because that speed our daily work. But the way that those tasks are built now, it's kind of challenging for those agents. And seeing that problem, first Microsoft did that proposal about WebMCP, and Google embraced that idea. And that proposal, it's to have a set of tools that will expose to those agents. So if you're not familiar with the term MCP, MCP is a protocol that AI agents or LLMs can interact with external tools. For example, when you ask Gemini to read your email, summarize your email, sometimes they can do that process accessing via that protocol. And that protocol is basically a contract that tells you which tools are available and what they will do. And that description will help the LLM decide what they need to do or which tools will we use. And the same way, we have WebMCP that will translate our UI, saying that, okay, this interface, we have a form, and that form you can book and you can buy stuff, or you can do a specific task, and even play a game. You can also ask for your agent play a game. If you specify the movements that your game does, you just pass that responsibility for your agent, and the agent will play with that. And Google Chrome released on Chrome 149 already, behind the flag, this new feature. So if you probably everyone already have updated. If you did update for the last 2 months, you won't see that. But if you did update, you're gonna see that. And the nicest thing that everything is already documented, and we would start getting a transition that those things will appear more in the future. But the important thing about WebMCP is it's a standard that is proposed to W3C. So will be official once it's approved. And all the browsers will implement in the same way. So the same way that, for example, we have a form, we have an input field, all those things are standardized, and all those browsers implement the same way, those input fields, we're gonna see the same thing for WebMCP. That's why probably if you heard about that a few months ago and didn't see those things happen, because those companies are trying to do on the proper way, suggest something for the web. It's totally different when a private company suggests something. We are talking about the web, open web, and super important, that type of behavior. You don't impose things, but you open to the space and you get a discussion and you get in a common sense about that. Inside the blog for developers, the page that I'm open now here, developers.chrome.com/doc/ai/webmcp, you're going to have all the information that you need to know to start testing on your website. But to make that clear, I have here one page. That page is already implementing WebMCP, is describing what this page does. And to understand that, we as normal users, we won't see that. So only the AI agent will see. But we have this extension that we can debug. I will just open here and I increase the font. I hope that, I just increase the font of the page. It's a bit smaller, but I will just describe what we have here. On the left side, I have a normal form that you can book a table in the Le Petit Bistro. There's a restaurant that you just need to send your full name, phone number, the time, how many people you want to go, what time you want to go, and if you have any preference. And in that area here is just the debugging part, is showing, okay, what are the objects involved in that, what I expect to send to this form. And on the bottom here, I have listed all the tools that I have available. And those tools just specify, if you open a little bit here, let me see there if I, yeah, this I can do it. So those tools, basically what they do is like, okay, inside this website, we have a function that is booking. And that function will expect you send a name, a phone, a time, a date, how many people are going, where you're going to sit, and what type of request you have. And here I have a suggestion. So I would like to book a table for 4 at the Le Petit Bistro tomorrow at 7:30. And my name is Sarah. I can say my name is Carlos Mota. And just specify the phone, by the terrace, and I would just ask, I would like to have a cake with GDG Portugal written as a and okay, I just make this special request and I will send that. And what's going to happen, I will just send this prompt to my AI agent, and the AI agent will try to figure out, okay, he's make this request. I have a message here. I doing to high demand, so I use a lot my Gemini model today. I got this error, but if I try later, I will see that. But what's happening here is like, once that message is sent, it will be like interpreted by this model, and then we'll just pass this information to that form. And this form will be just filled by my request. I will try to see, just to try for the second time, see that we can do that. I hope that my budget, okay, I use all my tokens now, my budget for the last 5 hours. I was testing that demo before, but I do recommend that you test that. Go to that address, Chrome Labs, GitHub, Le Petit Bistro, WebMCP, and try by yourself. This is an extension that you can just search on Chrome store. It's a WebMCP debug. But one good news is we also have available inside DevTools a way of inspecting WebMCP. So for do that, I will just inspect my application, go to application, and inside application now we have this WebMCP option that I can just see here. What are the tools available in that page? But this is just like one part of this whole flow about the agent web. There are more things involved. We have prompt API that I'm not talking about today, and we have other ways about make your website more discoverable for AI. And this, it's a good way of starting. Read the blog. All the blogs we have, like the 2 ways of you can implement that. You can be imperative, you can use JavaScript to tell that, or you can be declarative that you just set on your HTML elements a little descriptions that the AI agent will read that. For example, here I have a form, and that form just say, oh, I have this tool that is called create a support request, and I just describe with that property, submit the request for my customer support. And then the AI agent will understand, okay, this form is to talk with the support team. And these there are my highlights of that Google I/O Connect. And during the Google I/O Connect, I had the opportunity just to share a little bit. I have the opportunity to talk with André Cipriani Bandarra. He's Brazilian, and we did in Portuguese, but you can, if you don't understand Portuguese, you can enable the subtitles. We talk about WebMCP, and it's a really good conversation. There's another continuation of that conversation that I post on my channel as well. And I would say my second item that I really like to see, it is behind a flag, is not fully there, but it's HTML into Canvas. If you are a front-end developer and if you work with Canvas before, you know that you have this frame that you can draw stuff, and usually that Canva it's not interactive, but like you can do interactions, but everything is JavaScript. But if you put like an element side down, you won't see the same behavior. But now with HTML into Canvas, you can render HTML elements inside a Canvas tag. And these allow us to do those things. Like I can create effects like these, and this text behind here is HTML. It's like you can see that I can select that. So if I select this item, if I do a Ctrl-C and Ctrl-V, I will copy that content, and I can do crazy UIs like that. And I can have a few demos here, like I will just open. For example, this is like a room, and inside here I have like elements running on the background, and like everything is interactive. I think that's the next step for web, and especially with the things that we do with AI agents now, I would say that we're going to have a lot of those new cool websites that will have crazy transitions, but it's all experimental, all behind a flag. But I'm really like excited about that as well. But that's I would say it's the next level of the web, and those are the demos. Those are the things I would like to share, and I will just stop sharing my screen. If you have any question, please just say.
This is really nice. I really love that demo and the demo that we saw on Google I/O Connect, that you could easily interact with that specific room. It's the next step. We're seeing that on mobile, on the web, on almost on all platforms.
Yeah, and I think the like one after seeing those demos, like probably will be like a new category, like the same way that we have like SEO specialists. Probably we're gonna have like agents specialists. But one thing that I spoke with the team from Chrome is like those are new features that are in Chrome, but the old stuff that is a good practice, for example, accessibility, good HTML, like semantic code, all those things still valid. All those things help the agents. So if you already have like a good website, a good page, it's already like a good starting point for those agents. This kind of specifications like a next level for that. But yeah, I'm excited to see that new phase. Like,
yeah, and basically this is evolving really fast.
Oh yeah, I think
it's difficult to be up to date. Sorry, you're saying?
Yeah. No. I think the main challenge about moving fast, even is something that I spoke with the Chrome team. Like everything moves so fast today, and when you go to a W3C process, that process takes months because you need to hear like Apple with Safari to say yes or no, and then Firefox and you need to hear everyone, and that loop takes like kind of months. And I was saying, in the age of AI, like a month feels like a year. I don't know. It's like once like everything got like smooth, like yeah, I don't know. We're gonna be already in like the next phase of like things. But I think that the important thing they say the answer for that is like once we do via W3C and as a standard, those things will never be removed for the web. Because like standard and stay forever then,
yeah, that's true. I was thinking as you were saying that okay, so of course these things takes time, but one thing that perhaps also needs to be improved, it's the process of creating that standard. Although yeah, if we think, well, like 2 years ago, 1 month wouldn't be that much, but as you said now, 1 month nowadays, it's a lot of things have evolved back then.
Yeah. And I don't know if anyone have questions. Yeah. And I was running the demo like before the live was testing if it was working. And there was when I did the test, probably I should let like another API key just to run the demo. But trust me, it works. I literally like ran before the live. Like I was like, okay, everything works. I'm ready for showing that.
Yeah, tokens are always a problem. That's the thing with AI.
The live demo's gone. I always speak higher than.
True. You are brave. The only question that we have is people are asking about your piano in the background.
Oh, it's not mine. I'm in the house of a friend. It's funny because I'm taking care of cats here in Netherlands, and I'm 3 weeks here. Probably who follow me on Instagram, we see a lot of pictures of cats, and people think that I had a cat now. It's like, no, it's all from my friend.
It's a shame because I was going to ask you to play something.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I try to play just for curiosity, but it needs to plug some speaker on that. It's like electronic piano.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so if we don't have any more questions, thank you so much, Fellyph. As always, it's always a pleasure to hear you. Thank you for sharing what's new in the web with us. And I'm going to get to the stage Mario to talk with us a bit on what's new in Flutter. So welcome, Mario. It's a pleasure to have you here as always. I'm not sure if you're going to share some slides.
Yes, thank you, Carlos. I have some music here in the background, not very much planned, but I think it will be nice.
To keep everyone in the mood.
Yeah. Very nice.
I'm waiting for the moment that you're just going to grab like a beer or a gin and you start speaking with that gin or with that beer.
Okay, can you hear me well? Yes.
Yes, I cannot see the slides.
Okay, I am sharing right now. Okay, here we go. Perfect. Tell me if you see my screen.
Yes. Okay, so Mario, the stage is yours.
Thank you very much, Carlos. Here we go. Flutter in Flutter. We are making a recap from Google.io. We have a lot of things, new things in Flutter, so it will be really fast. And I'm not sure, as I presented before, here we're our social network from the DGG Braga on LinkedIn and Instagram. And if you want to follow me on LinkedIn too, this is my social network at the right. So let's go for it. Here, okay. What we have here for the first part, we have for innovation because we have a big refactor inside the Flutter core, and we have a hot agentic reload. What this means, Flutter now has inside the core a specific build for allowing while the developer is building the application to refresh or to hot reload the app that's running directly by the agentic. We will see a little bit more about AI in the next slide. And we have a new pure impeller that is getting 50% faster than before. It is more integrated inside Android on the Android 11.2, where we are using the impeller Vulkan rendering. So we are guaranteeing predictable, fast, and Flutter-free interface. And the most exciting news here is that we are decoupling the Cupertino and Material core libraries directly from the core to be separated libraries, so anyone can use and integrate material or Cupertino or another library for rendering. And we will have a fast upgrade because before we were using the material and Cupertino tightly integrated in the core, when you upgrade your Flutter framework, you get forced to update the material and Cupertino too. So now we can have the specific material or Cupertino framework attached to one specific version, and we can upgrade without breaking our application. So let's see a little more from Impeller. Impeller is the rendering engine that works behind the screen to draw the scene on the screen. We have better anti-aliasing. We have enhanced visual fidelity. So we can have the same visualization on any device, maybe Android, iOS, tablet, TV, and so on. We go to a new big improvement in Flutter because this title says a lot, Flutter on wheels. Now Toyota is running project to run Flutter applications inside the electric vehicle. This will be released for new vehicles about September, October of this year. So we are Google actively running this project together with Toyota. It will be a very big leap for the Flutter developers, so we can build applications that runs directly on electric vehicles. Here are some little screen, very nice. It is very cool to see this new application that we can build. And we have, as you already everyone knows, with Flutter is multi-platform, and now we have a new web tooling upgrades, and we have, as Fellyph mentioned before, we can work with HTML in Canvas integration, and with WebMTP and WebStamp tools too. As I mentioned before, they highlight key metrics about 15% of memory reduction and streaming local IDE sources. Is about a new tool for the developer, so you can see a preview of your widget inside of the Flutter preview while you are developing your application. And we have, for part 2, AI on device. Here we are talking about LLMs offline that can run on your device, maybe web, maybe your mobile phone, of course, using small models, or you can run a little bit more big models if you are running on desktop. Forget to mention that we have this integration using the Flutter Gemma plugin, which has been built by a Google developer expert, Sasha Denisov. And the main news for this Flutter Gemma plugin is that for this year, Flutter is integrating this community-made plugin directly inside the main Flutter stream for the main integration. The Flutter Gemma plugin allows us to run local inference on our devices. We can run multimodal text, audio, and video directly inside our model, running locally. And we have the capacity of running agents and agent skills and racks directly on our device. What's new and experimental in Flutter 3.44? We have, for iOS, we have dropped the Ochoa pods dependency, and we have moved to Switch Package Manager. This is a big change, so it is more tightly integrated into the iOS development environment for macOS and for iPad and mobile phone, iOS. And we have a better hybrid composition. This works directly for Android. So the Flutter is integrated most likely with the operating system to render faster the screen and all our composition for the UI. As I said before, on device LLM, we can use Gemma 4, that is our open source model from Google, and we can stream text, audio, or image input for the prompt. We can couple of multi-step reasoning. We have agent workflows, and we have 128K context model in running on local device. And this model can receive prompts in 140 different language, and it can interpret, receive the information, and it can make some translations too. In Dart Flutter, we have integrated to the MCP server, so we can have access to built-in tools that run agentic and locally, and run some commands or integration in our devices. And as I said before, the agentic code reload. The agentic code reload allows our Flutter application to build, to run agent skill, and to call local services that we can integrate into our application and in the mobile. And we can generate UIs on the fly, decided by the agent. I mean, you can create your different widgets, and based on the agent taking some decision, taking the user data or the received data from MCP, it can build dynamically or a screen based on the information that he has on context. Here is some screen for the widget preview. So we don't need to run all the application, or we can have a small preview of the widget running, and we can change the different sizes, so it will responsibly change according to our programming layout. And new experimental, we have cloud functions and administrative SDK. What mean? Mainly cloud functions, you need to build your functions in Node or JavaScript. Now, cloud functions allows us to write our code directly in Dart, and it can run directly in the cloud without any translation to JavaScript. And for the closing news, we have the second most preferred SDK for both App Store and Google Play Store is Flutter. So this is a big news because Flutter is getting strong along the year, and we love to develop in Flutter. So we are here getting stronger and stronger. And we have, for conclusion, we have offline and local model adoption, rendering performance a lot faster, and the developer cycle optimization is getting very good. So you can have a pick yourself about this new version of Flutter. If you don't know Flutter, you can give a try and test it whenever you want. And the last thing to say is join a community wherever you are closer to one local. Maybe you are in the north, in Porto, in Braga, or in Lisbon. So feel free to join any community near you. So thank you very much for attending. And if you have some questions, I'm here to ask, to reply. So
thank you so much.
Sharing and going back to the stage. Here we are. Okay.
Thank you so much, Mario. And what a nice music. Thank you for taking the time to be here.
Yeah, we'll speak.
Yeah, we'll send you the questions. I just wanted to share something because I was watching your presentation, and one of the things that I noticed is the news that you're telling us about Flutter. Some of them are really similar to the ones that we received on Android. For instance, for the previews that you were mentioning, The Swift Package Manager, it's something that's also being introduced with Kotlin multi-platform. It's nice to see that both these technologies are going side by side and they're following the same side. The only thing that I was a bit curious, but I couldn't see any benchmark, and I was a bit curious about that. I don't know if there are indeed some benchmarks. So Flutter moved to Impeller to reduce the junk that people were complaining. And from what I was seeing, something that would take like 32 milliseconds was reduced to 80 milliseconds. But the interesting thing here is, for instance, Kotlin platform uses Skia with Skiku on top of it, and Flutter moved away from Skia to Impeller. So I was a bit curious to see if we can find some benchmarks for the next talk, for instance, just to try to understand how of both technologies are side by side. I don't know if you have any information about that. I couldn't find anything. Not sure, since you're more into the subject. If you can point me on any direction.
Yes, in this case, this is very new. Flutter is moving from Skia to Impeller Vulkan. That will render 50% faster and make the UI smoother. Then I think here the main thing is about this screen because, for example, it's about WebOS. I didn't put that in the slide, but for WebOS, it's a new integration, and we are working with the Impeller to work on big screen, more bright, more than 50 inches. So big screen are really big, that's a lot of information, and it's hard to the processor to refresh all the screens. So this will improve. I think it's for bigger, really bigger screens. Will we see the biggest improvement? Of course,
nice.
we can make some new talk about this to get more in depth about this point.
Yeah, I'm curious, and yeah, since Impeller also new, so I'm also assuming that it's going to take some time to get all of those metrics out and test it throughout all the screens. And it's great to see Flutter as the number two, to be honest. I'm curious to understand how it was possible to get that information from Apple, but it's great to see that after Swift, there's Flutter coming in, and the percentage of applications in Flutter is rising. It's really nice. I think we don't have any more questions for now. So thank you so much, Mario. Please enjoy the party, and thank you so much for being here. It's always a pleasure to talk with you. So I'm the next one. I'm going to talk a bit about Android and what's new in Android. So we've been seeing a lot of great things on all of these platforms, and Google I/O this year once again had a lot of releases. And one interesting thing that we had this year that we didn't have for quite some time was we had our own Android pre-conference. So before we were at I/O, the day before or 2 days before, we had our Android development that allowed us to be on top of what's going to be released. I divided this presentation in 4 topics, and after me, Eimy is going to talk about Android-CLI, so stay tuned because that's going to be a really interesting part. And we're going to talk about Android 17, so the new Android operating system, AI on Android, Compose and Jetpack, and every screen means that we're also running on every screen that you think of. So just a bit of information. So Android 17 is already out, especially for Pixel phones, and Google is already planning to release the next version, so the next API around September. One important thing is on August 31, so the end of the next month, all of the applications that you've got on the Play Store, on the Google Play Store, and all the updates that you're going to make to those apps, they need to target API 36 and further. Okay, this is really important. If it's September 1 and you're going to make an update and your API is still 35, it's going to be rejected from the Play Store. You now have agents that can, and a lot of great skills that they can help you on making this migration. So feel free to use them. There is no mandatory API 37 yet, but of course, as new APIs are released, we're going to see a new API mandatory for app updates on the upcoming 6 months, 1 year. So let's talk about a topic that all Android developers love, which is behavior changes. So every time that there is a new Android version, there are things that are going to change. And these things usually change to improve the platform. So in this case, one important thing is that if your app has locked portrait on the screen orientation, and if you're running on a device that has more than 600 DPs, your screen orientation is going to do nothing. So it's going to be ignored. And if the user rotates the device, the app is going to redesign that screen on landscape. Okay, so this is really, really important. And this is started with Android 17. Once again, if you're using the flag screen orientation manifest to lock your app to portrait, this no longer takes effect. Okay. This already existed with Android 16, but you could opt out. Now with Android 17, it's mandatory. Also, one important thing to mention is, so basically, when you rotate to landscape, in most cases, the image, the application, it's not going to be adapted to the new width that you're going to have. So the image is going to be, your components are going to appear stretched. So this is going to give a really bad experience to the user. So if you want to change something now for Android 17, this is the first thing that you should address. If you're developing a game, for now at least, this is not mandatory. Why was this created? So at this moment, we've got more than 500 million Android devices, large screen Android devices. So this means that you can reach 500 million more devices if you follow all the guidelines to support adaptive apps, meaning applications that are going to resize and adapt to different screen sizes. How can you test this? You can always resize the emulator, see how your application behaves, and of course you can use should use the Windows size class that has a lot of events that allow your application to adapt. Along with the Windows size classes, we also have a couple of adaptive libraries that, in my advice, is that you should use them so your application can fit perfectly on landscape mode or on a big screen. For instance, it can run on the TV, it can run on your car, it can run almost on all the screens. There are a couple more behavior changes. For instance, if you're using your app to discover or connect to a device, for instance, an IoT device, you're also going to need the permission nearby devices if you weren't requesting it already. We've also added some changes in terms of encryption. So now you need to use the network security config. The contacts had a bit of revamp. So first, we're going to have some behavior changes. So the contact starts to be locked down. So instead of using account name or account type, those columns were removed from the table itself. So if you're trying to access this information, it will no longer be accessible. You need to use raw contacts for this. We're going to see on a couple of slides that now there is a new API for contacts, but you need to wait a couple of minutes for that. As we keep evolving in terms of computing power and agents keep evolving and becoming more aware how to go to breaches, Google is also investing in terms of privacy, and we start to have some tighter things in terms of privacy. For instance, now by default, you're going to have certificate transparency in terms of your OTPs, meaning the SMS that you receive on an app and you can show it. If your app it's not a default application, you're not going to receive that OTP, and you should use the OTP manager to get that information to add it to your app. Once again, Google is making a couple of it's trying to tighten a couple of things. One of the things that are going to happen is this system load for library files. So it's going to be more difficult to load them, especially bigger them. There you cannot use reflection for them, and also for message queue, you can no longer use reflection. In terms of audio, if you send the application for background and you don't have a foreground service and you try to either call audio focus or the volumes API or the playback, it's not going to work. You need to have a foreground service for this. If you set your activity to mode background activity start allowed, this flag has been deprecated, and now we need to use allow if visible. App memory limits. This is really important. If your application is using a lot of the CPU and a lot of RAM, the system will automatically kill your app. It's not going to wait for the GC to be triggered and clean the resources. It's going to kill your application. You can test this by calling a DB shell AM memory limiter. Eimy changes. So if you rotate the screen, sometimes the keyboard was going to show and display a lot of settings. This type of things changed. There's also being advised a couple of things for Android 18. So if you're already doing the changes for 17 and you want to think a bit ahead, so if you're going to use action send or action image capture without the flagrant with a URI permission, the system is going to block this. Once again, this is a security mechanism to guarantee that no external application can access the information that you're sending or receiving. You can use the strict mode to detect this by calling detect implicit URI permission grant. Okay, you should only use this in debug builds. Also, if your application uses on the manifest a flag uses clear traffic, this is going to be deprecated. You should move all of this logic to the network security config. I've mentioned new APIs, and we're going to have a new APIs that you can use. For instance, if you've ever worked with contacts, you know that it was a really complex API that you needed to use. Now you can use the action pick contacts, which is similar to the action to pick an image from the library, and you can use that API that screens to get the contact information that you need. This is also a safer mechanism because you know that you're accessing the system application for the contacts, which has, of course, an extra layer of security. Our notifications also have new semantics that you can define on the live notifications: caution, danger, and information. We've got a new eyedropper API, so you can pick the color of any pixel in the screen, and you don't need to grant a new permission for that. So this is already outside of the box. The profiling manager API was improved, so now you can get notifications when there is a cold start, when there's an out of memory error, when you're using too much CPU, or in there's any case of anomaly. This is great for you to use in debug mode once again to understand if your application is having any issue or not. The end of this is a feature that I was requesting for quite some time, which is you're working on your phone, but now there are 6 more Android devices. You've got the tablet, the watch. Now you've got the new Google Books that you can use. So the idea here with end off is you're using your app, you're going to send that information for the computer or for the car or for any other place. And now you've got an API that allows you to do exactly that. And once again, thinking about security, the signing that we're going to do on our APIs is going to be a bit different. We're going to be more secure, and we're going to have an extra level of security on our apps. AI on Android, there are a couple of new things that were introduced, namely the concept of Gemini Intelligence. Gemini Intelligence has a couple of things that, or involves a couple of things that you can use on your app, on your development. One of them is the task automation. So basically, you can have things running on the background that's interacting with your app. You can create your own widget. So now if you want to use a widget, you need to use the widget that was already created by that company, by that developer. Now you can integrate, you can open the widget and see what you want to say what you want to see on that widget. A really simple example: the widget for the weather tells me information about the current weather and perhaps the humidity. But imagine that I'm going to be on a boat and I need to know the wind information. I need to know if the sea is rising or not. I want specific information that's not on my widget. I can just grab my phone and say that I want this customized widget And basically, you're going to have your own widget version. So there's no developers that's going to create that. It's going to be Gemini on your own device. You've got Rambler that is going to handle the audio. This audio is not going to be stored. And of course, you've got this intelligent autofill that's going to be retrieved from personal intelligence that you can use, and you can use also on your Google Books. About the rollouts, the new phones with these features started to be shipped supposedly on July 22, and it's expected to be around the summer of this year that you can start using it. It should start with Pixel 10 and Galaxy S26 next, but it's not expected that it's going to work on older versions of both of these brands. Also, another functionality that's important to mention is the app functions. Okay, basically you can see app functions, or as Google states, it's like your Android MCP. Basically, your Android phone, you're going to start to have an agentic OS, and basically Gemini can communicate with your apps without having the UI visible. This is really good. It's going to start with Android 16 and forward. Once again, it's expected to work on Pixel 10 and S26. Let's see if it's going to be open to other versions. At this moment, there are already some tests that you can start doing on your apps, but there's still no final function or no final information available. About the app functions, if you want to use it, you need to use this annotation. And basically, it's really simple. You just need to declare this annotation and say the information that you want to make it available. On device models and agent stacks, of course, we've got Gemini Nano 4, we've got the ADK for Android, we have ATUI to render the Jetpack Compose, the Gemma 4, and of course, we're going to have Firebase AI logic that allow us to use Gemini with Firebase. Next, it's time to talk a bit about Compose and Jetpack. It was announced already this year through a blog post and then with Google I/O that the Android UI should be built with Compose. So there was still support for XML and for views. So now Google believes that Jetpack Compose has a certain level of maturity and that you should use Jetpack Compose to build your apps. This doesn't mean that you're going to redesign your entire apps from XML to Compose. No, this means that you should start building your apps with Compose. If you want to make an app on a specific screen, you can use Compose with it because Compose and XML are interoperable. So once again, this doesn't mean that the entire views are deprecated. It means that apart from critical issues, Google doesn't expect to make further developments on any of these components. The same thing is for Android Studio. And fortunately, to make this process a bit easier, there are a set of skills that Google created to help the migration of XML to Compose. Talking about Compose, we've got a new Styles API that allows us to make beautiful animations between screens. We've got the new testing V2, and it's going to be by default. The media query to allow you to know the different screens that your app can run, the different window size. You've got support for the trackpad and input. We start to have new components, new composables, for instance, the grid and the flexbox. This, as I'm saying here, this is a bit inspired with CSS. So when you're using these components, if you have some web background, you're going to see some familiarity with it. And once again, the goal here is once again that you've got a bigger screen and all your components should adapt to that screen. We've also have a couple of improvements in terms of tooling and internationalization. For instance, we've got a preview wrapper for custom preview scaffoldings. The shared element can now be debugged, and you've got talkback for auto descriptions for images. So you don't need to make, or you should make a description, but you can use talkback to get more information about the images. One important thing to mention is, so Compose 1.12 is currently in beta, and it's going to require that you use the compiler SDK 37, and you should also make the migration to the Gradle plugin 9. Once again, there are skills that are going to help you through this process. from my experience and for talking with other developers, making this migration to AGP9, if you've got an application that you've been developing for quite some time and it's a bit complex, it's going to take you some time. So be careful if you want to make that migration. Next, we've got Material 3 Expressive. It's been already talked for quite some time, but now you can really use it. Basically, it's going to be the evolution of Material 3, but now we also have the access of a motion scheme. So we're going to have basically a physics engine on the motions that, on the animations that you're creating. If you're using the Pixel phone, when there was this last upgrade to Android 17 and you saw the apps, you can already see that you've got a lot of animations when you receive a call, when you're downloading. All of those things are part of Material 3 Expressive. There is also a set of new components that were revamped or added by new. For instance, the buttons, the floating toolbars, and all of those things. If you want to use it on your project, just replace Material Theme with Material Expressive Theme, and you can define the motion scheme that you want to use. Motion scheme expressive, as I'm saying before, it's more for bouncing, and if you use the default standard, it's something more calm. One important thing to mention here is, although this is defined as stable, this is inside of a library that's marked as alpha. Okay, so it might be a bit confusing. The Material 3 Expressive lives inside of Material 3 1.5.0 alpha, which is the name of the artifact, but Material Expressive is already unstable. Also, you're already familiar with Navigation 3. We started to have a couple of more supports that were announced during Google I/O, for instance, the multi-pane layouts, the shared transitions between two screens. And now after Google I/O, it was just 1 month, but we're still going to have a couple of new things. For instance, the deep links, the predictive back, the returning results. This is all information that's going to be available, or that's available on the 1.2 alpha version. And of course, JetBrains also has Navigation 3 for the Compose multi-platform and advises you to use this new navigation library. Once again, if you're still using Navigation 2 and if you're facing some limitations, perhaps it's the time to make the migration to Navigation 3. We also have, it was also introduced the concept of scope view models that you now can have without leaving composition, the Jetpack Web GPU. We've got glance everywhere. Basically, the glance was introduced for Wear OS, and now we're also going to have it available on cars. There are new improvements on the Camera X, so it's now version 1.5. We're going to have a new picture-in-picture library. So if you use picture-in-picture on your app, don't forget to watch these new features. And of course, we've got a lot of new Media 3 extras that you can use, namely effects that you can use on your images, on your videos, and so on. Talking about every screen, we've got Android on the phone, foldable, desktop, car, XR, and watch. So if you target all of these things, it's great because you're going to have a flag on your app on the store saying that it's optimized for large screens. Okay, so this is going to show your app. It's going to increase it a bit on the rank. So if you're planning to support multiple screens, this is also a great advantage that you have because your app is going to have more visibility. We've got the new Google Book. It's a new premium laptop book that you can use. It was introduced during Google I/O, and it's supposed it's going to be available fall 2026. It's the next generation of Chromebook, but it has an Android stack, so you can run your Android applications over there. And it's going to be designed to be around Gemini Intelligence. So you saw that if you watch the Google I/O, you saw that glow bar touchlight that you had. You have the magic pointer, and you can just stream your apps to your phone. Talking about Android XR, we also saw a lot of cool things. The Galaxy XR headset is already been shipping, but we're going to start to have the X-Roll Aura, the AI glasses. That's a partnership with Samsung. And you also have the display glasses, which is a set of dev kits that you can use. We still don't have a lot of information when it's going to be released, but stay tuned to Google News. Finally, building for XR, basically, you're going to have two different applications, but you can have a single SDK for both of them. You can develop, if you're planning to do it immersive, you can use Compose for XR and SimCore for 3D content. Okay, so you can have your application in 2D or you can have it in 3D. Our core was already available in the past. You can use it for anchors, for eye tracking, for it testing. You've got the geospatial API, and you've got a set of engines that you can use. You also have the augmented version. So it's for AI and display classes. And what this means is your app is going to run on the phone, but it's going to be projected to your glasses. Okay, it's like you're streaming your app to the glasses, a bit like what we have with Android Auto and not Android Automotive, where you need the phone in order to display information on the screen. You can start today working with XR. There is an SDK developer preview that you can use already from May, and you can already start working on it. Finally, the Wear OS 7, it's based on Android 17. You're going to stop having Assist to have Gemini. You've got live updates, watch faces. So the watch also got a bit of revamp. So I've been telling you all of the things about Android just to try to too long didn't read. We're going to be more agents in the toolchain. Compose is official UI toolkit, and adaptive is starting to be mandatory. So you should adapt your app to all the screens. Out of curiosity, some metrics that were announced during Google I/O. So Gemini app now has 900 million users, and we've got 1 billion AI mode users. Basically, every minute, 19 billion tokens are being used by Gemini API, and we've got 13 Google products with more than 1 billion users. I've got a couple of links here if you want to know more. Otherwise, just ping me, and I'm going to be happy to talk you a bit more about Android and what's next. So let me see if anyone has any questions. Okay, so this is a bit resume of what we've been, what was introduced with Google I/O about Android. And if we don't have any more questions, I'm going to invite Eimy to the stage. So she's going to present a bit of Android-CLI. Hello, Eimy. Welcome back.
Hello. Okay, let me present my screen. Yes. Okay.
So the stage is yours. Good luck.
Well, guys, it's good to be here again. Well, I'm gonna talk a little about Android-CLI. Well, Android-CLI. Sorry if I say Android-CLI is really a Spanish thing to do. That we just say the thing as a one. And well, this is the future of Android development. I don't know if you noticed, but the Google I/O was a lot of Android and mobile development. The thing that is trying to facilitate is if you have ever coded in Android before, you notice that Google have this tendency to change everything really fast, and it's really difficult to follow on what is happening. For now, we need to understand that Android-CLI is a command line that is designed for your agent. Okay, this is not something that you're gonna use per se. It's something that's gonna be used by your agent of preference. Could be Codex, could be Gemini, could be Cloud. But this is something designed for your agent. So we can go ahead and tell a little what is CLI. Well, this is gonna be an official command line interface. Yeah, usually gonna be used as a PowerShell, and it's designed, as I said before, for agents. That means that maybe if you see the list of what is these commands, you see why gonna use a Android create or the Android ADV. That doesn't make sense. If I can use Open Emulator if I want, but this facilitate all this interaction between your agent and Android Studio. Okay, it's gonna give your agent the possibility to do full operations without having to research in what is the best way to do it. We're gonna already have the best way. So you wanna be able to create new projects, manage SDKs, compile APKs, have control of emulators, a lot of stuff that is related to Android Studio per se. Your agent doesn't need to be comparing about old documentation, new documentation, Stack Overflow, Medium Post. Not gonna be everything already approved by Google about the official documentation. Well, here it adds some value to the agent because the agent gonna be able to do some UI analysis. Yeah, that wasn't able before. This is the connection. It's gonna be able to capture a screenshot, to inspect layouts. It has a functionality that is gonna leave you the layout you have. It's gonna convert it as a JSON and gonna let you know what kind of actions you can take with that component in particular. That is really nice. I'm gonna show you a little how it shows in the terminal after the presentation, but this is really nice to see. Okay, the thing that this Android-CLI use is Android skills. Yeah, one of the things that use is Android skills. We know right now that the skills is a list of instructions that were already standardized, yes, for our agents to do or to complete some actions. That means migrations, for example, as Carlos says. Now if we have navigation 3 and maybe you have an application that have navigation or navigation 2 and you don't want to go ahead to do all the migration by yourself, well, you can use a skills using Android-CLI. The agent gonna follow the specific path to do the migration without having to do any research in internet and following the steps that Google defined for do a migration. It's gonna be able to reach all the documentation and it will not need to compare what is the best path to follow. The best path is gonna be already defined. That means that we're gonna have the best practices for this. And like the agent doesn't need to search what is happening, what is the best approach, it's gonna lead us at the best thing, that is token optimization. Yeah. Then, okay, the common matrix that this Android-CLI wanna have is we can divide it in 3 parts. Yeah, we're gonna have the create around the Android-CLI. The agent gonna be able to create a project on Android from zero, based in templates that gonna be already defined. To run a project, yeah, gonna be able to build APKs. In case that the agent needs to download any kind of SDK for run this application, it's gonna be able to do it. For example, right now the only SDK available in your computer is 34, but we need to run for now. After, like Carlos said, for now, all the applications should target 36, but we don't have. The agent gonna be able to download this new SDK. I used it for having it in an emulator. I'm gonna be able to open a virtual device. I'm gonna be able to interact with it. And then, like I already said, we're gonna have the Android skills and layouts that is gonna let you know the architecture of your app, what you can do, and what how it will migrate all the information you already have in your project to the new guidelines that Google want you to have in the Android applications by now. Then, okay, what are the benefits that this give us? It's gonna make things faster. Yeah, that is a reality, because you don't need to check how your all navigation is working to migrate it to navigation 3. No, all the navigation tree guidelines gonna be there, and you just gonna need to run a command, and you're gonna have it. It's gonna guarantee that all the people that is working in the project is following only the official documentation of Android. Yeah, so we are following all the same standards. No, it's not like before that, well, I look at in Stack Overflow and this guy say that this is the best solution, but if I look at in the official documentation, this will not happen anymore. We're gonna have the same standard for all the things we are doing. This CLI could be used for any agent. Okay, we don't have any preference, depends of the Android one you are looking for, the agent you are using, you will be able to implement Android CLI. And then, okay, the benefits. No, more or less the biggest benefit is the biggest impact it's gonna have is in the workflow that we're gonna have. So we're gonna have a AI agent integration that is deeply have a deep knowledge about Android. Yeah, it could be the agent gonna be able to automatize a lot of stuff. One of the things that Google CLI bring for us is that we can do testing. The agent gonna be able to test the application for you. So see if all the layout is working properly, if the buttons are working properly, doing this with with characteristical journeys that I'm gonna showcase after the PPT. It's amazing. I'm gonna showcase you how it works. It's amazing. And well, we're gonna have a velocity boost. Yes, that is something that is really nice because migrations in Android are tasks that could take weeks or months when you are working in something that is already in production. And now we can do it faster and following standards. So there is no more a file that nobody talks about because now all the files gonna be a standard. Well, everyone gonna be in the same page because we are all following the documentation. Now, in the ideal world, all the agents gonna be using the same reference. That maybe could happen that if you are in a team and someone is using the same cloud or the different sections that have a different context of what is happening inside the app, could take a different path. This will not happening anymore. No, because they will need to follow all the skills or the official documentation that they will fetch from the Android official webpage. Okay. Okay, here I left 2 links that they are the official ones, but I'm gonna showcase you. Let me share my screen a moment. I'm gonna showcase you guys what is happening here. Okay, I don't know if you see the new screen. Yeah. Let me delete this one, remove from the stage, and now I put this one. Yes, you see here, perfect. Okay, this is the official documentation that we have, where, well, you can see the overview of Android-CLI. How to install it is something you need only to download here really easily, and you just need to run the command Android update. You're gonna be able to get a follow of commands that, like I told before, these commands are for being used by your agent, not by you. So if you see that some of things doesn't make too much sense, like why I'm gonna want a command to create a project on Android if I can do it directly in Android Studio? Well, because your agent needs it. Okay. There are some interesting ones, like create an emulator, at least the amount of emulators you have, or start an emulator that the agents could not do before. You can, the layout one is really nice too, because you can see in a JSON format how many elements you have there, what are the actions you can have. For example, if you have a button, it's gonna say that the button is clickable. So that is amazing. and you're gonna have the screen capture that now the agent gonna be able to take screenshots. It's gonna be able to install SDKs in case it needed. And you're gonna be able to use the skills when you. Let me see. When you let me. Don't know if. Oh, sorry, guys. I'm gonna share the full screen so you can see now the full screen. Can I show the full screen, Carlos? Sorry. I have here one. Let me know. Well, here in the Android Studio, yeah, you're gonna see that we're gonna run these commands. We have create, describe, docs, emulator, help, info, init, layout, RAM, and you're gonna be able to see what we can do with each one of those. We're gonna be able to, for example, I have here an emulator that it has the application of Google Pictures that is not logged, so you just see the placeholder on it. And you're gonna see that in case I do an Android layout, it's gonna identify all the elements that are inside that screen. I'm gonna say, see me, what is the state and what are the interactions you can have with that elements here in the screen, like Google Photos or the Sing It button. Then you have the possibility to download documentations, yeah, Android docs, and search for something in particular. For example, here I search for unit tests. Yeah, then the Android-CLI gonna search for it in the knowledge database. It's gonna fetch the documentation related to. So in this case, the agent gonna base all the tests they're gonna create in the official documentation of Google again. Yeah, so this is fantastic, especially for unit tests. I hate growth unit tests, guys. So it's amazing that the agent could do it following the best practices. No? Well, you can see how many skills you have too. Here there is a list. IDB skills. Oh, sorry, IDB. This is muscle memory. Android skills, and you can see the list. ADB skills list. Again, ADB, Android, the skill list. And you're gonna see all the skills that the Android-CLI have already implemented, verify emails, a navigation tree. And for example, now the Android is 100% Compose. You're gonna be able to do migrations from Compose, like this one, migrate XML views to JPass Compose. So now migrations are not bothersome anymore. You can do it following the standards. You don't need to open a Stack Overflow link to see what is happening here. Is everything already standardized by Google, and you can do it without any problems, just doing a prompt. Then the list of skills is updated directly by Google. Yeah, you can follow it directly in the GitHub repository. It's an open repository. You can see what they have here, how they do, and if you open any of them, you can see that this IMD file, that is the agent gonna be able to access any of the documentation that it needs, and a step-by-step guideline of how to do it. And then the most interesting part of CLI gonna be journeys. Yeah. Now with journeys, the agent gonna be able to navigate and test Android applications. Yeah, and see if everything is working fine, if it is following completely the instructions they do, if there is any technical observation, if there is any improvement it can do. Yeah, and just gonna interact with it. It's really nice. Most of the interactions it can do are related to XML, so it's UI interactions. But well, it's a step closer to do maybe automation tests with agents. So I think it's really nice. It's something good to have right now. It is something that they didn't happen. We wasn't able to do before, and now this is the possibility. Don't know if there is any question.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, this is as an Android developer, this is incredibly useful, to be honest.
Yeah.
The part that you were mentioning about testing, especially for me, it's being like lifesaver. I can measure the time that I'm saving right now.
Yeah. The part of testing UI, that is what manual QA testing usually is really bothersome. So now the agent gonna be able to do it by you, and routing unit tests. That for me was the worst, a nightmare. Now could we do it standardized so we can do something that makes sense? Because I don't know if you have seen a test that is like testing if the button is clickable and it asserts true. And you say, what is this thing doing? Well, we hope that this doesn't happen anymore, and we have some tests that make sense and follow standards.
Yeah, and one thing that I've noticed in a lot of companies is that a lot of people see tests as something that you're just going to add more time to implement something, and they don't see it as something valuable. And with this, you can enforce on those companies that, okay, you can feel that, but okay, this can be done almost automatically, and this is good to test your app in the future and guarantee that nothing gets broken.
Yeah, I think that with Android-CLI, the companies are going to have no excuse to do unit test coverage, and they should not have the excuse to have technical debt in UI, at least. Yeah, because all the UI updates or migration can be done using the agent, by the agent for the agent, in this case.
Yeah.
There is Android-CLI, so it's really fun.
Yeah. And I think you use the right word, which is no excuses.
No excuses. Yeah. Because now standardized, guys. That is something that never happened before in Android.
True. We've got one question from the audience. Sérgio is asking, can these agents also do design QA given design systems like in Figma or others?
Well, right now they are integrated this with the emulators, the ADV emulators from Android Studio. So it depends of the prompt you do to them. Maybe could be a possibility, because if you are implemented fully the Figma design you have, maybe the agent could pinpoint some black points or something that the designer didn't thought before. For example, if they click it in some way, maybe the button doesn't have the full clickable area, and this is gonna be pinpointed by the agent. So I think it could be interesting. Yeah.
I was once playing with an agent, and I was giving some design to that agent, and I don't know if this something happened to you, but this happened to me, which was the agent looked at the design and started saying, okay, I would move this component here. I think this component is not right. So we also have opinionated agents.
Yeah, it happens, but now, for example, that you can use a Android layout. When you get all the information in a JSON, you can pinpoint the agent to touch specific the ID of that element, and you avoid having these problems. You don't say change a button. No, you say change this button with this ID that have this number. If you see the way the agent gonna read the screen gonna be by numbers. It will not notice if that is a button or not. It has an ID that is a number. And if you pinpoint, no, I want to change the input of this button number 9, the tag gonna be the 9. It's gonna do specifically in that component. We don't affect the rest of the layout. So it's a way to avoid that the agent took too many assumptions about what button you are talking about. I'm gonna change all of them. So this avoids some assumptions. Yeah.
Yeah, make no assumptions.
Yeah. do everything right. First try.
Yes. No. Fast. Thank you so much, Amy, for being here. It was really a pleasure. I'm certain that people, if they're not using Android-CLI or CLI, I know that I say CLI. I've also heard that you said CLI. Honestly, I don't know who's right because throughout the world, depending on who's talking, the people say it differently.
Well,
so
yeah, well, at least in the presentation in Google I/O, they say CLI. So let's see.
True.
Let's accept that one as correct.
Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. And I'm going to call Tiago to the stage and see you in a bit.
You.
Hello.
Hello. How are you? Sorry.
I'm good. I'm good, and you? Are you? Everything is okay with you?
Yes. So I'm here to talk about Google Cloud and Google Workspace. Like I mentioned before, I didn't know everyone would do such a big presentation about their. Let me know if you. Oh, okay, nice. Well, see you soon, Carlos. I do organize for Google Developer Group Porto. If you're around Porto, yeah, just you have the QR code there. Check us out. To be honest, we do try our best to do some interesting events. Since we're talking both about Google Workspace and Google Cloud, I am starting with Google Workspace. It's more user-based, this part of the presentation. So if you use Google Workspace, and nowadays who doesn't, we're entering, at least in Google's own words, the era of agentic productivity. And so the focus here is moving beyond just having chatbots everywhere and asking Gemini create some slides for me to really having assistants on our workspaces. And one of the things that I'm not going to talk here because Sérgio will talk just right after me is about Google Spark, which is also a big part of this productivity. And stay tuned after my presentation. There are three main components for this productivity that I'm going to talk about. Those were the big improvements. One of those is the daily brief. So now, actually, maybe not now. If you are in the United States, this is a now. If you are in Europe, United Kingdom, Portugal, right? You're probably not having these functionalities yet. I believe there are some laws that need to be. So the functionality needs to be adapted for this to work on our side of the Atlantic. So let's wait for it. There's still no confirmation, at least last time I checked, of the current dates for everything, but most of those are coming our way. So the daily brief is really this morning summary. You wake up at the beginning of the day, or when you check your phone at the beginning of the day, you will get ready to work. It reads your unread emails, it checks your calendar, reviews the tasks that you have, and gives you a digest so you can start your day fully prepared. The second one is voice capabilities. So voice capabilities do make it more of a assistant and less of I'm going to have to ask Gemini these and write on my keyboard. So these two are two amazing ones. The first one is Docs Live. Docs Live lets you start a new document prompting using your voice and saying, okay, I need these resume. So this is the example that Google gave someone that is talking at career day in his kid's school, and he's like, okay, what I want to say, what's my relevant experience, what do I want to convey, what is the message, and Google Docs Live will create this document, and you can edit. So you can say, okay, no, I didn't like this part so much, and this is a really interactive approach to writing documents in which you're not really just writing something for Gemini to say, you're like, okay, this document needs this, needs that. I want a table there. I want a graph here, and it's a new way to do documents, to write documents like you have a real assistant. The second one is Gmail Live. It's the same thing, right? But for emails. So you have a lot of emails. All of us have a lot of emails in our inboxes. You have your reservations there. You have important clients contacting you, and you can just ask Gmail Live, okay, Gmail, what is my priority right now? What is happening? When is my next flight boarding? What do I need to do today? And these things make it for a real assistant, an assistant that you can just, if you are driving, if you are with your phone on your hand, you really don't want to be very, very tied up to that keyboard. And the last one is AI Inbox. So it's a different inbox, a different tab there, and you'll have there, okay, these are the things that you really need to do right now. These are the things kind of like what we just talked about regarding Gmail Live, right? Your inbox will prompt you for what you need to answer right now, what is important, what you're forgetting probably in the bottom of your inbox, that unread email. It can fetch relevant Google Drive files, okay? So if you need to attach something, it will tell you. It is a very assistant-like approach, and at the same time, it will automatically drive responses that you need. So you can try to work around what AI Inbox will write as the response for that. Then there are so this is a little bit more on the Google Cloud side. So we're here in the line. I want to start with Google Keep Audio. So you've been able to do Google Keep Notes for some time now, but now it actually listens to them, and it creates a actionable note, a note that you can actually read, and it's not 3 minutes of you just talking to Google Keep. There is also the WebMCP that Fellyph already talked about. So I don't want to spend much time talking about it. You've heard about it right now. And there's also CodeMender. So CodeMender is a new AI security agent that scans your repositories to find and fix vulnerabilities. So it is already a workspace technology that actually helps you in your technology-related work. Okay, so it is still to be defined where the world will take us, but certainly these tools are very important for us going forward. So now for the more Google Cloud side, I'm gonna connect with my fellow presenters here by talking a little bit about Firebase. Firebase is part of Google Cloud, but does integrate a lot with the Android applications. So there are two important things. Apparently, Firebase Data Connect was renamed to Firebase SQL Connect. That does make it clear that it is a Postgres. It's a Cloud SQL for Postgres database that you have available in your Firebase. So right now in your Firebase, you are not limited to the NoSQL database that you had before. And also Dart, okay? This was announced back in April in our Google Cloud Next, so our mini Google I/O for just the cloud guys. And it was, it's different way. Up until now, Google Cloud Function, so Firebase Cloud Functions could only be written using the Node.js approach or just a Firebase CLI, but now you can really write them in Dart. It makes it easier for the people that are already writing applications for Flutter. So there's no way around this, okay? This is always the big thing about Google Cloud. Yes, we do have new Gemini. To be honest, I've been using it. It works great. I think we are seeing the continuous improvement of models, not only Gemini, but let's not talk about the other ones. And it's better. It is improving. It is continuously improving. I'm also very enthusiastic about the next one. It seems to be improving all the time. We do also have Gemini Omni for Enterprise API. It's a multimodal generation model. It processes and edits everything you can think about. It goes for video, audio, text, images, and it really does an impressive job. Sorry. Now, for Google Anti-Gravity, there was a sunset of Google Firebase Studio. So now we're moving everything into Anti-Gravity, and also Anti-Gravity is now fully integrated into the Google ADK, so Agent Development Kit. We are seeing integration with the Google Cloud that is really important for you to develop, not only for the Google Cloud, but for cloud deployed applications. This also brings a lot of enterprise security, so you can now have your application, your development isolated from public data. So then you can develop agents that run on your cloud perimeter. So there's no more sending things back to Gemini or whatever the mother base is, and so this helps us with our compliance as customers of Google, running things in our Google Cloud, being isolated from them. And it's built to handle our big, massive enterprise workloads that we all work with. From cloud deployments, there is an improvement regarding MCPs. Okay, it's becoming easier. There is a single API call. You can now provision an agent. It has remote sandboxing. There's no difficult infrastructure setup. Okay, this makes it easier for us to use our agents in our cloud environments. Also, there's a better prototype. So there's a prototype in Cloud AI Studio that is a one-click deployment directly to Cloud Run. Okay, so you can run your is it called? I forgot the word. So you can do your cloud runs, turning them into prototypes from prototypes into scalable apps with a single button, and it makes it really simple for us to deploy these AI-enabled applications. There's also an improvement for the anti-gravity CLI. So this is a new command line tool, but it makes everything that we could already do with anti-gravity. Many people were installing anti-gravity just to use the small functionality. The anti-gravity CLI, it's a command line interface, really simple, really small, and you can do almost anything that you could already. So you won't have the user interface. That's the difference. One big announcement was also Gemini for Science. Okay, Gemini for Science is an industry-specific tool. It includes tools for hypothesis generation. It includes tools for computational discovery. It's important for the development of new articles, new discoveries in the science world. It's improvement from the tools that already existed. So Google Scholar was already a tool of reference, but Gemini for Science really focus on that. It is also directly integrated with the anti-gravity platform, so you don't have to leave your workspace. One thing that is a promise, I guess, from Google, but it's somewhat of a bold promise. It's also that what used to take researchers weeks of manual bioinformatics should now be executed by an AI agent. We are looking forward for all the discoveries that this will enable. Of course, this is something that we only can see the impact with time. Last but not least, the Sync ID digital watermarking, okay, has now been integrated with the other companies' creating images. When you have an AI that creates video or creates images, having that Cintra digital watermark makes it possible for the rest of the world to check, okay, was this AI generated? There's been somewhat of controversies regarding AI-generated videos and images, and this is very important not only for us Google Cloud users, but also for everyone in the world, so we can have these validation of what the images, if they are real or if they are generated. Also, the agent payments protocol was made tighter. Okay, now it really requires specific user approval before it does any financial transactions. Of course, this is always something that people are concerned with when they are plugging their AI agents into all their workspace. But now for every financial transaction, for every purchase, for every subscription, it will have this required user approval. And yes, that's it for Google Workspace and Google Cloud news. Once again, don't forget to check out the QR code for Google Developers Group portal. And I don't know if Carlos is around.
Yes, I am.
Hi, Carlos.
Hi. I was looking at, so before we start, sorry, thank you very much for your presentation. I was looking here on the chat, and we've got a couple of questions for you. I don't know if you want anything about this, but one of the questions is, okay, so as Google and other AI companies are pushing new AI agents, new AI tools, one thing that we are realizing is it takes some time in Europe to be able to access those features or those tools. We've got a user here that's asking if you know any feedback when we're going to be able to use, for instance, Gemini only inside of Flow in Europe.
So there is nothing that says that we won't be able to. But as you may know, as a lot of you may know, in Europe we have stricter regulations, okay, and it's not as easy to just roll this functionality and these tools without being attentive of the laws that we do have. And so this takes some time. To be honest, we've had bigger delays, okay? We have had delays of sometimes a year, something like that. So we're waiting and hoping that, yes, this is a tool that no one, so Google didn't say yet that won't be able to be run in Europe, but for the time being, there is still no release date.
Yeah, what we've been seeing is exactly that. It's going to take a while, and in the beginning was taking a lot more time than it is nowadays. And it's a matter of time that we just need to wait, and well, the tool is going to be more mature when we start using it.
But yeah, you can always use it in a United States enterprise.
I can always catch a flight and check how it's on the United States.
There are
it's a good reason to go for the trip.
Exactly. There are simpler technologies that allow you to be in the United States without actually going there. But
yeah, but this way you can go and have some vacation and all of those things.
I agree with you. We should go. We should do a Google Developers Group in Google Developers Group Portugal in the United States.
We can just go on a plane or by boat. We go by boat. We keep doing events, and we just cross the Atlantic.
We have to check that GGG Azores events. I do know that Sérgio is going to present now. I am really eager to. I have actually already read a little bit about Google Spark, and I'm also. I know it's kind of the end of the day for everyone, so.
Yeah, already brings Sérgio here. So Sérgio, Tiago already made an introduction, so you're next. Thank you so much for joining us, and the stage is yours.
Hello.
Just back to say, yeah, you're muted. Okay, welcome back.
Ah, Thank you, Tiago. For sure, we should do GG Portugal in the United States, or maybe somewhere in space, probably in the moon. We could do it on the moon. Maybe it's a good idea. I don't know. Just throwing it out there. I'm trying to actually share my screen. I think I have a screen now. Hello. There you go. Hello. Hey, thank you for coming. Thank you for staying here at almost 8 p.m. It's time for lunch for most Portuguese, but maybe you already lunched or had dinner before. I'm doing this presentation on Gemini Spark. It's a short one. We have few information about it because we're still in Portugal, as Tiago said. It's not really available yet. But we have a bunch of demos that we can actually show and see. I'm just trying to actually summarize as quick as possible. It's basically a 24/7 AI agent announced at Google I/O 2026. Sundar was very eager to announce it, and it's a shift by Google from chatbots to fully autonomous partners. The so-called butler agent that you're going to have and do mail service, secretary service, check out your Google Drive, or even work with Workspace. But we'll see where this idea comes from. So basically, we had other softwares coming up. Like everyone knows OpenClaw by now. There's Hermes agent that some may know, NanoClaw. There's some lesser known projects like Homunculus, which is it's a first version of Gemini's. It's not really by Google, but it's kind of looked like to be also a cloud hosted butler agent, let's say it like that. And Google watched this fever of these styles of agents and said, okay, maybe this is a trend and we need to actually come up with a better solution that actually is opinionated, uses our tools, and can provide a safe experience for the people that already use Google. So, and all these trends actually give us evidence that what people need is orchestrators that actually deploy agents or sub-agents that do menial tasks, but the orchestrator actually devise all the plans for these tasks to actually unfold. So this is the direction that we're going to take. From the AI that just answers by tokens to AI that acts on your behalf. We already had the chats, now we had the agents, and now we have like fully autonomous agents that are that stay awake and do stuff for you. And how do they do it? They in this case, Gemini Spark enters the scene. It's a cloud-based agent, 24/7. It has a lot of tools integrated already, especially Google's tools. That you can also integrate for party tools like Canva. And Tiago from GGP, which is this protocol. It got stricter, especially for Gemini Spark to be able to use it and able to handle your payments. So you can do these periodic payments for subscriptions in a safe way. So you're introduced. Let's just do a comparison from chatbots to agents. have traditional agentic chatbots that they were just waiting for you to actually interact with them, and as you interact with them, you wake them up, so they're passive. And even agentic chatbots would actually wait for you also to input something. They would actually stop thinking the moment that you close the app or tab, and then they were dependent on for you to actually devise all these workflows or step-by-step guidance. For those that actually set up some agents, you know that there's an agents MD file that you actually set up, write up all the instructions of what the agent is, what's the main role, what are the rules, and where are the files, where are the all the resources that and the context that the agent needs to actually that needs to read before it actually acts. And they were isolated, means that you the first ones would be isolated. They would not be able to access these specific information or connected to apps. The agents that we have now can be actually connected to apps if you allow them to do. You just need to set them up. Nowadays, we have MCPs that you can actually deploy lists to the agents so they can know which actions they can do. But there's still how do I say it? There's still a little bit of isolation or lack of interactability. And with Gemini Spark, which is a full autonomous agent, it always is working on the cloud. It's proactive. You can schedule tasks with them, or you can actually give him a heartbeat. We call it heartbeat for those that have that already tried to do OpenClaw. You know what I mean? Heartbeat is a periodic thing that actually ticks and wakes up the fully autonomous agents to actually check if there's anything to do. It's persistent. It runs on Google Cloud, so it's always on. It's autonomous, handles long form, handles multi-steps, handles connected workflows, connected apps. It really knows, given like pre-written instructions, it really knows what to do. So it's integrated, as I said before. It's actually seamlessly across Google Workspace and third-party apps. So this is an example here. It's always on, always working, cloud-based. And it's important that you know that it's cloud-based. There's really no difficulties in setting this up compared to other Butler agents that I like to call them. It uses Google Cloud. It lives in it, and it can actually spawn sub-agents in it. And if you schedule some tasks, for example, like in 2 a.m., let's say this is an example, you need to do an inbox summarization. Say you just set it up and trying to actually set some meetings up, and there's a conflict, the agent will know that there's a conflict and will try to solve it, or just try to daily debrief you that there's a conflict that you should need to actually be the human in the loop in that case. And there's going to be a report here. It's going to be ready by 7 a.m. and you'll be able to start your day with whatever you need to do this today. For example, do this presentation in the same day that you're going to present it. Let's imagine that happened, because that would be very handy for me. Core capabilities. So as we talked about, there's the inbox strategy that you already saw. Document synthesis, it goes to Drive and then can create the reports that you need in PDFs or scan documents for anything, any context that it needs to build. Go to Google Sheets, go to Google Numbers, do the calculations, the financials that it needs to. Essentially, bringing up, there's a talk that I don't know if people know this term, headmaster pattern, which is you have the headmaster of the house, and the headmaster will tell you, okay, these are the finances that you need to deal with. And these are the ones that I already dealt with, that you already told me to actually do it because you gave me permission. You have this kind of management with your Google Spark, and Google Spark can also be proactive in scheduling meetings or actually necessary tasks. For example, taking your cats to vets or schedule a meeting to actually get a venue for your next event. So what I wanted to show you is that you have an orchestrator agents that dispatch multiple agents to do these actions in our workspace, but you can also dispatch agents for the third-party apps according to the tasks that you handle to Gemini Spark. And you have a lot of synergy here that's being handed to you 24/7. And just to actually show you how the UI screen will look like. Normally you have the chat here on this side on Gemini, and you're going to have a tab here in Spark. You're going to need a different subscription. I'll explain it a little bit later. And you're going to have ways to customize your Spark, for example, assembling schedules like at 2 a.m. I need you to actually sift through all my emails to see if I have billings to pay. Or you can also create skills, and you can also connect more apps. So you can actually give more functionality to your Gemini Spark. And the way that you create a skill is for those that already created skills, it's a little bit similar. For those that didn't, you basically provide more context to your agent. For example, say that you have some kind of billing that you need to pay, but in a certain way, like do it with that card instead of this card, and only do it in the afternoon because for some reason, shady reason that I need to explain. You create the skill, you say, you give it a name, for example, water payments by afternoon. You describe what it means and how should the agent do, like use the connected app to pay through this cards, and always check after if the payment is done. If the payment is not done, you can report to me saying that I wasn't able to pay this. And this is just an example of a skill that you can actually deploy. Other things that you can actually do, these are reports of the system environments to show you what is connected, and these are just opening prompts that you can actually see. And this is all on the phone. So we're going to have this available on the desktop and on mobile. So no skill issue. There's going to be a third-party ecosystem. You already know about Canva. These are just 3 examples. Canva is my favorite. Nowadays, it's my favorite way to present things. I actually do a lot of designs with Canva, so it's going to be pretty awesome to actually connect Google Spark with Canva. OpenTable is, for example, if you want to order dinner for 2, but you don't really want to have the hassle to actually order yourself, you can actually dispatch Gemini Spark to actually do that for you, and Instacart if you can actually do that. So and this is just the tip of the iceberg. You can actually do a lot more if you connect apps. And I think there's a list of apps, but I don't really know. Probably someone can actually put on the chat if there's a list of apps that you can connect with the Google Spark. And so Workspace integration, yes, it's deeply woven. You can access Gmail, Calendar, Drive, Docs, Keeps, and Tasks. We already mentioned about it. There's some reasoning that you can actually do. If you get some contacts from one side, it will always be relevant to actually decide on other apps. For example, you can go to Google to like Google numbers sheet, get some calculations of finances, and see if it's a good idea to actually buy your new Google phone next week, or if you probably need to just save up for the next house that you're going to buy. It's permission based, so it still relies on the human in the loop, and this is very important. You need to grant access to actually important decisions, and in this case, it's the agent will actually detect important decisions and delegate them for you. So you're going to be safe in that regard, and you're always in control as for permissions and yeah, and detects high stakes actions. And again, so this is agents payments protocol already. Tiago already told you about it. It's a safe autonomous purchasing, especially done to agents, so agents can use it. It has hard limits on budgets and restricts transaction types. So I see most people say that they are scared to actually give the agents a wallet. But there are some people that tell you that they just don't really want to waste their time to set up payments themselves. So they will gladly use an agent with a wallet to pay these things. And the AP2 will be a safe way and sure way to actually get an agent to pay what you want and not go rogue and just hallucinate payments. For example, here and we say here the AP2 imposes hard limits of budget, detects approved merchants, and restricts transaction types. You will have full parental-like control, ensuring Spark can book a $30 Uber, but it cannot buy a 3,000 laptop without explicit biometric approval. And we have a lot of partners here that already work with AP2. Most important here that I can say that Etsy, if you want to buy things on Etsy, I like to browse Etsy a lot. PayPal, it's important. Revolut, it's also important, and Trip for you to book your next vacations. Because if everyone knows, booking trips is a little bit harder. Just to find the ones that actually are interesting and cheap. So I'm going to tell you the tiers here, and just to say that the AI Ultra Spark included is not available in Portugal, as Tiago said. But it's going to be costly. It's one of the minus things. It's going to be $100, and you're going to be able to access Gemini Spark and Antigravity 2 and 20 terabytes of drive. It's probably overkill for most people, but for the ones that actually want to actually have an agent available all the time, this can be actually quite cheap. And the engine under the hood is going to use the 3.5 Gemini model. It's not really the Pro, but it's a Flash one. The Pro will be available soon. Let's hope. And with this, this is a promising model. The Pro one is a promising model, especially for Spark. Spark is very important to have a strong model, especially if you want to be safe from, for example, prompt injections or other kinds of safety dangers for agents. And yeah, as I said, it's still not available in Europe, but and I put the month here, so you know that this was done in July 2026, and we need to wait for Gemini 3.5 Pro, but soon it will be available. Soon we will have Gemini Spark. And that's it. That's it. Let's see the questions that you have ready for me. I don't really have much experience because it's not available yet, but we'll try to actually answer all your questions.
Thank you so much, Sérgio. Perhaps I should also call Tiago here to the stage since he had a lot of questions about Spark. Let's see if you have one or Sérgio was able to answer everything.
I was impressed by this presentation. And I did watch the I/O, but I was most focused on Google Cloud things. Do you believe the success rate, or at least do you have any idea if the success rate for Google Spark is... So when I schedule meetings with my colleagues, I don't want the meetings to be in the wrong time zone.
Mm-hmm. That's a menial thing. I think you should be able to actually introduce that Google Spark is in Portugal, and it should actually schedule meetings in Portuguese time. I mean, it's a strong model, so I don't really believe it's going to fail. I mean, I already tried OpenClaw, and for OpenClaw, it actually had success rate in setting up meetings with the right time. It just needs to actually have the right context and the right model, right? If you give it a weaker model that really doesn't do much reasoning, it doesn't give much room to reasoning, so it doesn't give much room to actually check out if the time zone is correct. So all comes to context, I guess. All comes to context that you set it up. In my example, when I tried this Butler agent, I just said that okay, we need to actually check that the meetings are set up in GMT +1, and he made sure that the meetings were set up. So maybe you need to set up some more contacts somewhere. I mean, you already did that, but I'm not sure. So what did you use?
No, currently I use Hermes as my personal assistant, but as you can imagine, I'm really hoping that Google Spark goes general availability in Europe, so we can get access to it. I do already have all my work in the Google Workspace, so it would be easier.
Okay, and you should be able to actually set up Hermes to use the Workspace, right?
Yes.
Do you have MCPs for that? So you're still having problems with the time zone?
The time zone is an example. So normally when I schedule meetings, I think about my time zone, then my colleagues are somewhere Eastern or Western, and it's always interesting conversation. It's mostly an example, to be honest. But yeah, it's the kind of context that we know as tech people that it's good to give it, and it will work easier if we give proper context. But I'm imagining that kind of situation in which I am driving my car and I want my assistant to do the things for me. And sometimes, yeah, we don't have all the time to do the context. So that's the kind of situations I want to test for, and I'm concerned about.
To be honest, I understand your use case, but I would assume that since it's one of those use cases that we've got a lot of problems, almost all the tools don't face well when you're on different time zones. I would assume that they would cover that. Similar to, I think on the calendar, you can do something like you can define when you can have a meeting, and that information can be shared across everyone that's on a different time zone, and what they're going to see it's your schedule on their time zone. So I would assume that would work, and you're not going to have a meeting at 4 a.m. just because it's like 4 p.m. on the United States.
So that loop is all to go for it, Sérgio. Sorry.
I'm pretty sure that Gemini 3.5 won't have those problems as long as it has reasoning and agentic behavior. And you also cannot define the task with a structure. For example, this is the action that I want to do, schedule, and this is the process that you need to do. You always need to do this process, and then the definition of done is I have this team here, I have this team there. Pay attention to time zones, pay attention to availability, and set up the meetings. And after that, just send me an email saying that you did that, for me to be more aware of these things. And this won't get rid of the human in the loop process. You always need to check out if everything is right. Hence the idea of a daily report, where the agent says, I did this, and this is your day. And then you can check if everything is correct and say, good butler. Here's the path in the back. That's it. Go ahead, Tiago. You had something to say.
Well, yeah, so exactly what you said. I think that human in the loop is important and is interesting. I do look forward for the day where I don't have to actually do anything, and just tell Gemini or whoever else, do the thing.
But do you really need to tell? Because that's doing something.
Fair.
It can learn from your habits what do you need. I saw an interesting project a couple of weeks ago that someone had an agent that was understanding, for instance, your grocery list. This is something that you end up doing manually because you end up using one thing and not the other. And someone fed, I think it was Claude, basically their entire bills of what they usually buy. Claude noticed a pattern and basically started suggesting when to buy some things. You didn't need to tell anything. Basically, the agent understood that typically you need to buy water every 2 weeks. So before the end of the 2 weeks, he said, okay, you need to buy water, this and this and that. So perhaps we're reaching one of those points in the near future.
I think my cats will be very lucky if there's an agent that can predict, hey, the food is going to run out.
But for the cat, it would be nice to have a button that the cat, every time that they need it,
Yeah, you should have seen my cats before saying that they're almost this size now.
You were using the button.
Yeah, agentic cats.
And one thing,
Sérgio has one.
yeah, already showed up. One thing I want to talk about is the heartbeat thing. The heartbeat thing is basically a cron that's the agent has set up that wakes him up, checks tasks, and gives him the impression that it's alive. And with most agents, you actually induce them to actually work. And with these kind of butler agents, the heartbeat is the thing that induces it to check if everything is correct and if there's any task to actually do. That's basically Google Spark shines with ready to deploy on cloud. It's on the cloud, so you don't really need to worry about it. Unlike Hermes, you probably need to actually set up a cloud account somewhere, or just run it on the Raspberry Pi with a less than optimal model that you fetched on Hugging Face. In this case, you really don't need to worry about the model. It's a Google model, it's Gemini. But you're restricted to Gemini unless Google decides to do something else. But the Gemini models are good enough, are great. And we're going to get Gemini 3.5, so it's going to be even better. It's people ask questions about trust. How can someone trust an agent that's always running and can pay from your wallet? Yeah, those things. It's not really an agent that has a wallet available and can go to anywhere, just buy stuff. You actually have some restrictions. For example, you have these protocols that Tiago already mentioned. The AP2. It's restrictive for a reason. It's restrictive because it's going to be handed to an agent to actually do the payments, and it's about people's money. It's not really something. You also need confidence from the users that are going to use Spark. So you don't really want to mess this up. So these restrictions are necessary, and Google does well to do that. Gemini Spark can also code and can also dispatch some agents to code. The same way that agents that you probably use on your daily basis can also code the features. And this is also cool in a way that if you need a quick app, the same way that you already ask Gemini to devise a quick app for a gym program, you can actually do this. You can actually grab Gemini, say, I need a quick app to actually store all the exercises and tell me how to do them. And now imagine that power with Gemini Spark with a fully autonomous agent being with you, being able to devise all these apps in real time as soon as you need them. And this is a very powerful way to give the users. And another thing that I still want to talk about is WebMCP. WebMCP, which is something that Fellyph introduced at the start. It actually provides a way to power websites with possible actions that agents can do. And this is a great synergy to handle to something like Gemini Spark. Gemini Spark will actually visit websites, see the actions that it's able to do in a more deterministic way. And for example, if Booking.com suddenly starts to have WebMCP, it can actually book flights for you or book hotels for you way faster and with more certainty, with a better specification of the actions that it can do. So I'm looking forward for this. Actually, Gemini Spark together with WebMCP will be pretty much an agentic feature and an easy way to give accessibility to people that really need it. That can't comprehend how to actually use these websites. That's it. Do we have any more questions? Yeah. Yeah, there's someone saying that it's not just money. There are things in action that cost way more money. Yeah, it costs your time. It costs people. It allocates people and time to that. And now you have an agent that actually can agilize things for you in a faster way.
So we can have more free time, hopefully.
You won't have more free time. No worries. You'll have more time to do more things.
I know, but that's a total. We could be speaking about that for another 2 hours. But yeah, I've been feeling the same way. I think we don't have any more questions. I don't know if anyone wants to say something to end here the stream.
It was a pleasure to be with you guys here. It's my first time in this kind of event, so it was amazing. Hope we can do more.
Definitely. It's also a pleasure. Thank you everyone for joining us. Of course, everyone that spoke and also everyone that was on the other side for 2.5 hours. So thank you so much. I know that here in Portugal, it's almost dinner time, or it's dinner time. So thank you so much for holding up with us. And you already know that in Lisbon, we're going to have on the 27th of August our meetup, and in Lagos we're going to have it on. I need to check my notes on the 6th and 7th of November. Okay, so these are all the GDGs throughout Portugal. If you're in any of these cities, feel free to talk with us. If you're not in one of these cities and you want to be part of or create your own GDE, just send us a message, gdgportugal@gmail or at any social network where we are. And once again, thank you so much, and see you on the next event.
Yeah.
I see you.
See you.
It was a pleasure.
August.
Make it, do it, shake it. Unbelievable. So good.